good Seahawks fans? Welcome in to this live edition of Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we will catch up to speed with the latest news and rumors in your Seattle Seahawks as we'll talk about a potential trade that CBS Sports is recommending for Justin Fields and also where Geno Smith falls into that equation. Later on, we will go over some cut candidates who could be on the chopping block for Seattle. And we'll also look at some big-name free agent targets. We'll do a mailbag at the end of the show as well. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion before we sign off here on today's show. As you guys file in and we get this show on the road, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we are on the air and ready to roll here on this Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and crack open a cold one here, and let's get this thing started, folks. We're here with you a little bit early today, but that's okay. If you can't stay too long, whatever, or if you join us late, whatever, you can always go back and watch the show from the beginning and check us out here for all our segments here. And we'll also have content on the channel. We continue to cover this coaching search as Smitty's here with me as well. And I got to tell you, Smitty, it seems like as people are filing in, and shout out your city, we'll shout you out. Got Best Fortnite in Iowa, got Teddy G in Lake Stevens, Washington, got Ken in Holcomb, Washington, got Thomas in New Zealand, got Shane in Sandpoint, Idaho. As everybody files in, Smitty, when it comes to this coaching search, we've been at this now 2 weeks. There's no head coach hire at this point, but I feel like we all know who it's going to be. It's just a matter of when they finally announce it and make it official.
Yeah, they are holding multiple second interviews, and that's something that we'll talk about or a little bit on, maybe on today's show. But, yeah, it seems like it's going to be Dan Quinn. It seems like Dan Quinn is the way. There's been rumors about already Dan Quinn's staff coming to Seattle in a potential Chip Kelly pairing that we've talked about on the channel. So it looks like a matter of when, not if, at this point.
Let's see, where else you guys at? Got Ivan in Hillsboro, Oregon. Got Mikey in Houston. Let's see, got Card Dealer. Says just made it into SeaTac from Spokane. Got Drew in Blaine, I guess Chicago sports fan in Illinois, says go Bears. Got Edward in Everett and a Mariners fan in New York City Metro. So very cool stuff there all over the place. Curtis in Woodinville as well. Smitty, I got to take a quick call, actually. You mind taking over for a second here?
Absolutely. I'll talk with the chat about who should be the Seahawks head coach, who they think who should be the Seahawks head coach.
Just up.
I'm not. Oh, nope, Tyler's coming back. My bad. All right, here he is.
Okay. I got a little car issue that I'm I'm dealing with right now. So
okay.
my car battery died last night, and so I thought that was the dealership.
I thought it was an emergency. I was like,
well, in that case, if that was the dealership calling me, then
I would have taken over, no problem. But
yes. But we're so I'm monitoring that, actually trying to take care of my car. A little inside baseball there for the folks. So thanks for staying patient. Who should be the next Seahawks head coach? Smitty, go ahead and continue what you were saying here.
Why not? Yeah, they got second. So I'm only going to go based on the pool of second interview coaches that they're interviewing. I'm honestly, if I could take Bill Belichick and put him on the Seahawks right now, I don't know. I probably would. Maybe for a season or two. Mike Vrabel would be another name that I would love. Jim Harbaugh, obviously. But none of those names really fit in Seattle. So when I'm thinking realistically of the names that they have on tap for second interviews, would I be mad at Dan Quinn? Like, oh, this franchise is going to the depths of the darkness. No, I wouldn't. I think he'd be a fine hire. Ceiling-wise, is it there? I don't know. But Raheem Morris is maybe a name that I would like as well. Ben Johnson. I really think the Seahawks should go in an offensive head coach direction, but I don't think that's the way that this franchise is going to be ran by John Schneider. It hasn't been. I know he hasn't been in the top spot as far as the big boss goes, but I don't think that's the way that this team is going to be. The team wants to be ran. They're going to go to a defensive head coach situation. What do you think, Tyler?
I would, if it were up to me, because it sounds like that Jim Harbaugh's probably going to the LA Chargers.
Yep.
And he was my first choice. My second choice, Mike Vrabel, doesn't sound like he's too interested in Seattle.
Yep.
So with that said, then you're kind of left up for the pickings here at this point.
Ben Johnson's great.
I like the idea of Ben Johnson.
I do as well, but it's just one of those situations. I think he's going to go somewhere else. I just don't think he's going to look for Seattle that much.
I think that as far as that Dan Quinn thing goes, we had that update on the channel this morning about Chip Kelly coming in as OC. To me, that is, as I've said this entire time about this, the OC hire is so critical because you look at what Quinn did in Atlanta. Kyle Shanahan, home run hire for OC.
Absolutely.
And they were fantastic. But then when he went with Steve Sarkisian, who had no business coaching in the NFL, he's a very good college coach, but didn't know a lick about the NFL.
Yeah.
And then Derek Cutter after that, who doesn't have a great track record in his own right. That's when I get skeptical. I can live with Dan Quinn, but you have to get that OC right.
Absolutely. You have to get the OC right. And is Chip Kelly the guy who you think could right the ship here?
I would love the idea of Chip Kelly as my OC.
I think that has the opportunity to crash and burn like we've never seen before.
Chip Kelly's one of the best offensive minds in all of football.
At the college level, yes. But, I mean, how much success has he had in the NFL?
I thought that first year in Philly went pretty good.
1 year out of the 5 that he was
it was very short-lived. And I thought that if you go back and look at his time in Philly and San Francisco, a lot of that was to do with Chip's ego, not so much of what was actually going on the field.
So you think Chip's ego has just magically disappeared and he won't have one?
He's a little older now.
Oh.
He got humbled, had to go to UCLA, did the TV thing for a minute.
I haven't looked exactly too deep into the chat right now, but what do you guys think about Chip Kelly? Like, I don't think that's exactly the safest hire at the OC
I think
spot.
he's an innovative mind. His offense has evolved over the years. It's not the offense he ran in Philly or San Francisco anymore.
Fair. I honestly haven't tapped into that much. I loved what he did with Dorian Thompson-Robinson at UCLA.
Coach Zach Charbonnet.
So, yeah, Zach Charbonnet as well. So, hey, who knows? He could make a resurgence in the NFL. I just haven't seen it yet.
So Smitty and I have a little disagreement, and that's okay. Diversity on this idea. But Chip, here's the other thing, though. I'll say this. As much as I like Chip Kelly as OC, and I think that would be tremendous hire, I don't see why. This is where, back to the reality check for a moment. Why on earth, if you're Chip Kelly, would you leave being head coach at a Power 2? I'm just going to call it Power 2 now that we're in this new era of college football with the Big Ten and the SEC. Why would you leave a Power 2 head coaching job? I know that he's been on the hot seat, almost got fired this past year, to be an NFL OC. That's what doesn't add up to me.
Yeah, I understand that rationale.
And it's not just Seattle. It's really any OC job in the NFL.
Yeah, but, I mean, who knows? Dan Quinn being one of the brightest defensive minds in football and Chip Kelly being one of the brightest offensive minds in all of football. I mean, listen, it might be a situation where they're just thinking about teaming up, and it's a package deal for them too. Who knows?
Like, if it were me, I would rather be. Let's say that the best OC job is Kansas City for all intents and purposes, just because they've been the best team the last few years. Pretend that you get to call plays. If Andy Reid was looking for an OC to call plays today, and he calls up Chip Kelly, if I'm Chip, I'm staying at UCLA. I'm not thinking about that. It's not, to me, saying no to Seattle. It's saying I'm not taking a coordinator job.
And how much of a pay decrease would that be? It would be millions, correct?
I would think.
I don't know what Kelly gets exactly at UCLA, but it's got to be at least $5 million, right?
Chip Kelly, UCLA salary. It's like the Joe Rogan show with
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Jamie.
But
pull it up.
I'm actually Jamie, but Tyler's gonna pull it up.
I'll be Jamie this time.
Yeah, all right. So
he
Super
is,
Chat rolling in the meantime.
Yeah.
I'm kind of related to this whole situation.
$8.5 million is his buyout from UCLA.
Oh my God.
That's the buyout, and his salary itself is around $6 million.
Stop.
So the Seahawks had to pay the buyout first, and then somewhere competitive to $6 million to be an OC. I just don't see it.
Absolutely not. $6 million to be an OC? Be lucky to get 2.
Chief Keefe X5636.
Shout out Sosa.
Good to see you. How will our new coach affect our draft plan? So I'll say this. It's a big effect, but John Schneider, this is his team now. It's the voice in the room. the voice of saying, I like this guy as opposed to this guy, or we should do this or that. But John Schneider, at the end of the day, is still going to have final say, and this is
100%.
still the direction of what he wants to do. He can take that advice or not, but ultimately this is still John Schneider's team.
So, kind of rewrapping this question in a sense, what does John Schneider want to do? Like, John Schneider, whoever he hires, that's the way that this draft is going to go.
Yes.
So, yeah, they are directly linked. And if he hires Dan Quinn, do I think that Seattle's going to go quarterback in the first round? My inkling would be no. I think they would go pass rush or something on the defensive side of the football. I don't think you hire a defensive head coach and then go quarterback immediately. But, hey, that's what DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans did do. But then again, they did trade up the next pick thereafter.
You still got Will
take
Anderson,
a pass
yeah.
rusher, who is a stud in Will Anderson at that. I think Seattle's going to go that direction if they go defensive head coach. And I think that John Schneider's, that's the direction he wants to go in general.
Chief, thanks for that super chat there. Let's go to the rest of the super chat menu.
Yeah, let's do it.
In case you want to be like Chief and get on the show.
Why not?
Why
let it
not?
Fly?
First-time super chatters, you get the Seahawks chant. Any super chat amount, you get a shout-out. We'll throw your comment or question on screen.
Of course.
$5 super chat, play a little truth or dare. $10, take a shot. $20, a little beer chug. And $100 gets you the Emerald Club. That's our Seahawks Day Hall of Fame. We get to 200 today. We can make a boot happen potentially. I'm wearing a nice dress shirt today, and I'm sure you guys would like nothing more than me to get cold beer on this thing. So, and I got to walk home because my car battery's dead. So walking home and soaking wet cold beer, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would not be great. Lucky it's not as cold as it has been here in Dallas, Texas.
Right. I brought layers. I came prepared. But that is what we're offering on the Super Chat menu today if you'd like to take part. $sign next to the chat box to contribute and get on today's show. We're going to do that mailbag coming up later. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat, and those Super Chats we get priority, and we could certainly use plenty of questions for that mailbag segment coming up later. All right, Seahawks fans, I need you to spam S in the chat right now. Already a great audience. We haven't even technically started the show yet. I need you guys to spam S in the chat right now, and that's going to help the algorithm to get more people here to be involved and interact with the show and hang out with us here on this Wednesday afternoon. We started the show out early, so we need to get the word out that we're live right now. So go ahead and start spamming S for the next minute or so. Smitty's going to shout everybody out that spams S, and we're going to get this thing rolling here on this Wednesday afternoon. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on Seahawks Today, an off-season show. Still don't have a head coach yet. It's been 2 weeks. We're being very patient, but that day will come sooner than later. And when they do make that hire, you know we're going to go live. We're going to react to it here on the channel. But in the meantime, go ahead and spam S in the chat right now.
Here we go.
If you're a Seahawks fan, you love the Hawks, spam S and let's go.
Let's get after it. Daniel Maxwell, Chicago sports fan, spamming S. Teddy G sending the super chat. We'll get that right after. George Tucker, Daniel Maxwell, drama on the beat. Shout out Johnny. Edward Barrington, King Favela, George Tucker, Daniel Maxwell, Drew Pike, Teddy G, Beard King, Jason Schumacher, Addison Don, Daniel Maxwell, Edward Barrington, Addison, Edward, George, Drew, Drama, Daniel, George, Addison, Beard King, Jason, George, Addison, Surfs Up 808. Let's go. Edward, Addison, Beard, Daniel.
Nice.
Keep spamming at Seahawks fans. Let's go. Let's
10
rock.
seconds to go. Finish strong, folks.
Deadly duo is him spamming those S's. Drew Pike, Beard King. Don't let Tyler spam more S's than you. Let's get this chat pumping. Let's get more 12s in here. And let's just talk about some Seahawks news and rumors. It's the offseason, baby. Let's have a good time.
Let's do our thing, folks. Glad to see a lot of people here. We'll get to that super chat that just came in.
Absolutely.
I believe, was that Teddy that sent that in?
Yep.
It was. Teddy G.
Teddy.
Good to see Teddy G.
Teddy and Chief Keef, we will get these super chats on the mailbag later on.
Teddy G says, rather have Vrabel with Arthur Smith as our coaches over Dan Quinn and Chip Kelly. You know, I got to say, I like Vrabel a lot. And Arthur Smith, I wasn't too impressed with in Atlanta. They were kind of just mid the entire time. I'll say this. I like the idea of Vrabel. No question about it. but it doesn't seem like he's interested in us.
Yeah. He doesn't want to live in Seattle.
Like, that's the sad reality
Yep.
of this situation of people that are suggesting Vrabel, and we've talked about Vrabel. He's not answering the phone. Maybe John Schneider needs to go to Cabo and knock on his door, get his attention or something. Here was the other thing, too, Smitty, was, before we move on and get to our first segment, the Vrabel thing we had talked about a couple days ago and said, hey, the Seahawks want to talk to Vrabel, but he hasn't interviewed with anybody. Well, now he's doing interviews with multiple teams.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks are not one of those teams.
Exactly.
So they tried, and he said, no, thank you. I'm out. So unless John Schneider can pull something out of his ass, then that ain't happening. And you could even make the argument, Smitty, that if he doesn't want to be here, if he doesn't even want to give us a shot, then let's just make this simpler for the two of us and move on.
Agree.
So.
Shout out PGZ. Shout out Ivan Hanchett. Also still spamming S with drama on the beat in the chat. Addison as well. Appreciate you, all of you guys. Daniel Maxwell says, switch Vrabel with Smith and Quinn with Canales. I would love Dave Canales to be the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, he's had past success with Geno before, proven track record in developing quarterbacks, getting the most out of quarterbacks, and he's a hot head coaching candidate here for a couple of teams in this cycle. So, interesting. We haven't given him a second interview yet.
We got 100 likes right now. Or no, we got 100 viewers.
If we had 100 likes, I mean, we'd
that'd
be
be nice. We need more likes, though. We're at 17. I think we need to at least get to 30 to start today's show. That's being very generous. I want to get 30 likes, and I'll take a nice little chug of this Coors Light when we get there. Like the video so we can get this show started. Drew says Vrabel going to New England, isn't he? I don't think Vrabel is looking to be a coordinator anywhere. Gerard Mayo already took that head coaching job. I would think Vrabel, he's such a good personality. I would bet that if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he probably does the TV thing for a year.
Yeah, why not?
And then probably gets a job next offseason. I don't see him taking a coordinator job. 25 likes, need 5 more.
Yeah, 5 more here.
5 more, then we'll get started, and we'll talk about Justin Fields and the possibility of bringing him in Seattle. And there's 30 likes. All right, here's what's on today's show. News and rumors. Justin Fields, could he be the next starting quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks? We'll also talk cut candidates. Who could be potentially out for Seattle? We got some names, and we'll show you some money. Also talking big name free agent targets and a live Q&A mailbag. All that and more here on this live edition of Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones, he's Tyler Smith. Smitty, appreciate you guys being here with us. Let's go ahead and get started. Segment 1 here on Seahawks Today. We got a loaded show of blockbuster trade rumors here on this edition of Seahawks Today. First off, could Justin Fields find his way to Seattle as the next Seahawks quarterback? And what about Geno Smith? If Fields makes his way to Seattle, does Geno Smith get involved in the trade and head to Chicago himself and reunite with Shane Waldron? We'll explore all these possibilities and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Now, I know we don't know who the next Seahawks head coach is, but who do you think is going to be the Seahawks starting quarterback in 2024? Is it one of these two guys? Is it a rookie? Is it somebody else? Very curious. Who will be the Seahawks starting quarterback in 2024? Weigh in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Justin Fields, the Chicago Bears quarterback, is being shopped heavily as the Chicago Bears hold the number 1 overall pick. Many expect them to end up selecting Caleb Williams, the quarterback out of USC, leaving Fields as the odd man out. And CBS Sports did a list of potential destinations of where Fields could ultimately end up, and Seattle was named as one of the top spots. Listen to this from Cody Benjamin. Geno Smith just landed a new deal as their veteran starter last offseason. But his injury-riddled season may not stop Seattle from exploring younger alternatives, as team brass did around the 2023 draft. In the playoff push, they're unlikely to secure a top 5 or top 10 selection to target the best of the 2024 crop, and Smith can be designated a post-June 1 cut to save $22.5 million. Remember, Pete Carroll thrived for years working with a more mobile QB in Russell Wilson. Now, I don't mind the idea of Justin Fields at all and the possibility of him being the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks next season. That sounds intriguing to me. But I'm not giving up the farm. We're not throwing all we got. We're not giving up all the pigs and the cows and giving up all our milk and butter and everything to bring Justin Fields in here. To me, it's got to be done very precisely if this is going to happen, because the Seahawks don't have a ton of assets that they need to depart from. Fields, a former first-round pick out of Ohio State. He's been starting the last 3 seasons, and you look at what he's done. He has showed flashes. He's had his moments. He already holds 8 NFL records since joining the league in 2021, and the talent around him has not been very great. The coaching staff, I feel like, has kind of set him up to fail. I'm not a fan of Matt Eberflus at all, and yet Fields has still played at a relatively high level despite the circumstances he's been under. This past season, Fields had a completion percentage of 61%, over 2,500 yards, 16 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But one of the most impressive things about Fields is his mobile ability, with 657 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns this past season. So here is what I'm looking at. This is what I mean by not giving up the farm. If Chicago will take a 3rd-round pick, and I understand, I'm going to say this right off the jump before some of you are all after my head when I say this. I don't think that it's likely Seattle could get this done with a 3rd-round pick. This is, I think, for Seattle, the best-case scenario where you say, we'll do this, but we're not going to go any further here. I can live with giving up a 3rd-round pick for Justin Fields and bringing him in and going from there. You don't have a 2nd-round pick, so you'd have to go to next year. And I'm certainly not giving up that 1st-round pick. This I can live with, the idea of giving up a 3rd-round pick. Now, your turn to be John Schneider. Should the Seahawks trade for Justin Fields? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in the comments section. Tell us what you think if Seattle should bring in Fields or not. Today's show is sponsored by Factor. I got to tell you, I love me some Factor meals. Very easy to make. They taste very good as well. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Forget frantic lunch preps and rush dinners. Factor's 2-minute meals are your secret weapon in the new year. Fuel it fast with restaurant-quality meals, all delivered right to your door. When things get hectic, Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule deliveries anytime. Head to factormeals.com/SeahawksChat50. Use code SeahawksChat50 to get 50% off. That's code SeahawksChat50 at factormeals.com/SeahawksChat50 to get 50% off. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Factor Meals, good. All right, now, here's an idea, okay? If we're going to talk about the idea of Justin Fields coming to Seattle, then there's a big elephant in the room. What do you do with Geno Smith? You heard Cody Benjamin of CBS talk about, well, you could just cut him and count your losses and move on. But who just got hired as Chicago's offensive coordinator? Former Seahawks OC Shane Waldron, who worked with Geno Smith the last 2 years. What about sending Geno to Chicago, and then you give Caleb Williams the time to learn an NFL offense, and there's no pressure to throw him on the field right away. You give up a 6th-round pick, I think, because you're adding Geno to the deal, and then you get Justin Fields involved. Now, I think it starts to make sense. And all of a sudden, too, I get some big cap relief of not having to pay the money that I have to pay Geno Smith. Kind of a trial run for Justin Fields. If it works out, then you pay him after that. To me, that could potentially be a win for the Seahawks in the best way possible. You get Geno's contract moved on. You have a young quarterback. You get to see if it works, and it doesn't cost you a ton. Now, there's two big reasons to trade Geno Smith. First off, Fields has that better contract and provides that cap flexibility. All of a sudden, you can start spending on some other positions, right? And you're already over $4 million over the cap heading into this year anyway. And then you reset that clock. Geno's not getting any younger here. Justin Fields is just starting to really get into his prime years potentially. You look at the numbers, and Geno Smith had a down year. Justin Fields coming off a year where I thought that he played much better in the second half of the season and showed some promise. There's not going to be a significant fall off, I think. I think this is a risk worth taking if you're Seattle, if you get the opportunity to potentially pull this off. Which quarterback would you rather have? Would you rather go with Justin Fields or you rather go with Geno Smith? If it's Justin Fields, type J for Justin Fields. If it's Geno Smith, type G for Geno Smith. Let me know. Which quarterback would you rather roll with in 2024 with what we know now? Weigh in. Tell me what you think. We are your offseason headquarters here on Seahawks Today. We're covering the coaching search. We are talking the latest news and rumors when it comes to trades, free agency, the draft, and more. Keep us locked in to Seahawks Today as we are trying to reach towards our next milestone of 49,000 subscribers. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Check us out. Subscribe now. Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Now, let's talk about the case against a trade for Justin Fields, because we got to keep everything equal here. You know, we got to be fair to both sides. Here's the case against it. Number one, he's been a part of a lot of losing, and I think personally that's not his fault for the most part. 10-28 record as a starter since entering the league in 2021, and with that could come a mentality. There could be a mental bump to come over when you've dealt with all that losing. And there's been the inconsistent moments to think about. And he's had a number of injury issues himself. So those are kind of the boxes that check against him. I think, personally, he just needs a fresh start. I think you get him out of that dumpster fire that is the Chicago Bears, a stable organization with Seattle, a brand new head coach, new offensive staff, let him hit the reset button, and then see where things go from there. And there's people besides me that buy into Justin Fields. I buy in. I would give him one more shot. Look at the success the Bucs had this past year, giving Baker Mayfield one more shot, and now they're about to give him a long-term deal. Check this out from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and Courtney Cronin on Justin Fields. Coaches have lauded his improved pocket presence, including his movement, footwork, and willingness to throw the ball downfield instead of taking off and running when the pocket breaks down. Perhaps what has stood out the most in that stretch has been Fields' ability to close out wins. So even with all those losses, he's turning into a winner. Now, let's ask you about Geno. Should the Seahawks bring back Geno, or should they move on from him right now? Let us know what you think. T for trade, K for keep. Chime in the comments section. Let me know what you would do with Geno Smith, and we'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right. That is one segment down. 3 more to go. We're going to talk cut candidates next. Should the Seahawks trade for Justin Fields? Smitty rejoins me right now. Smitty, your thoughts. What do you think about the idea of bringing Fields to Seattle with a couple of those scenarios that we presented there?
If it's for a third, how can he not have success with the weapons in Seattle?
Right.
And with this, like, the running attack that this team has. It's such a great run-blocking offensive line. It's not the best pass-blocking offensive line, but I know that we're going to invest in it in the draft and free agency. So in that regard, I think he's going to be a part of a better offensive system in Seattle. Obviously depends on the offensive coordinator hire as well. But I think for the right price, a.k.a. a third-round pick, it would be a viable option for Seattle to go and get Justin Fields. I mean, Is he probably better right away than any quarterback you draft in the third round? I'm not going to say it's a guarantee, but most likely yes.
Checking in the chat. Should the Seahawks trade for Justin Fields? Our poll question today, 200 votes. 52% of you say yes. 48% say no. So very close. People are kind of splitting hairs. I do wonder, we mentioned the third-round pick. To me, third-round pick, yeah, absolutely. Let's get the job done. Let's make that trade. What is the market you think going to be for Justin Fields out there? I mean, I don't know realistically if anyone is forking over that first-round pick.
No.
Maybe a second-round pick, but I think when you look back at what we've seen of quarterbacks, with him, remember, he's due to get paid soon. Like, I just don't see there being a market for somebody wanting to give up with as valuable first-round picks are. I think it's the 2nd or 3 range.
I also don't necessarily think that the Seahawks need to be, a Super Bowl favorite week 1 next year. I think we can have a retool with a young quarterback. So in that regard, I don't necessarily want Justin Fields after I've seen what he can do. Is it 3 seasons in now?
Yeah. How much?
I don't know if I've seen the ceiling that I need to be confident Justin Fields being a long-term starter in Seattle.
That's actually I was about to get to my next point. I think that he needs to get out of Chicago.
Yeah.
And get a fresh start and see what he could potentially do. Do
you want to gamble on it being in Seattle though?
For a third-round pick, yeah, I'll take that gamble.
Yeah, I guess.
I'd trade Geno to make that gamble.
I don't know if I would. Geno was, I think, was considerably better than Justin Fields this season, as far as the passer of the football.
I mean, here's another thing: the offensive line were, just being frank here, the offensive line wasn't good, right?
Yeah.
Fields, with his running ability, could make things a lot more salvageable for the offensive line, make them look a lot better with that escapability that Geno doesn't have.
That's fair. I agree with that. If the offense is willing to tailor to Justin Fields' strengths, like scrambling out of the pocket, I think it'd be like, in a Todd Monken kind of sense for Baltimore. I think that could be something that could be very successful.
Maybe so. Coming up next, cut candidates. We will discuss 5 players for this Seahawks team that we don't know about their futures, whether they will be back, what the Seahawks should do, whether it comes to restructuring or trades. We'll go over all that coming up in just a bit. But first, we've got a $5 super chat from Michael. Michael writes in, no question or comment, just because I enjoy your videos. Michael, much appreciated. Much appreciated. Everybody spam Michael in the chat. That's what we love to see. When somebody just shows us appreciation like that, that's great. Michael, thanks for supporting the show. And everybody spam Michael. And with that $5 super chat, a little truth or dare we'll play this time as I pull up my list.
Josh Cummings is here trolling. Classic.
Josh Cummings? Isn't he a Niner fan or something?
In the NFC for years, LOL.
Okay, here you go, Smitty. With that $5 super chat, a little truth or dare.
What do you got?
Smitty, what is the last lie you told?
The last lie I told. Is it a bad thing that I don't remember? I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't think I've told like a lie today.
That's good. Today?
That's good.
Smitty has not told a lie today. How about that, Smitty?
I don't think I've told a lie yesterday or the day before that. It's been a little bit, so I really don't remember exactly what the lie was. It's probably some joke to my friends to pull a fast one on them. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What was the last lie I told? Well, chat, while we're thinking of this, tell us what was the last lie you told.
The last lie I told was that the Seahawks should keep Pete Carroll as the head coach next season.
That was when you were just lying to yourself.
Yep.
I guess for me, it's I was so confident at one point in time that Tyler Lockett would retire as a Seahawk. We'll talk about this in just a moment. That's not a foregone conclusion anymore. We would like it to happen, but it's not a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
We'll explain
That's
more in just a minute. That's a good tease into our next segment.
Absolutely.
Cut candidates up next, and then we'll talk big name free agent targets. And after that, we will get to a mailbag. Hashtag Seahawks Super Chat to get on that mailbag portion of the show. But let's go ahead and get after it. Cut candidates. We'll bring that to you right now.
Let's do it.
Jones and Schmidt here on this Wednesday afternoon. We'll get that thing going. If you want to be part of the mailbag, hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the show. All right. Cut candidates. Here we go. Should I stay or should I go now? That is the million-dollar question for 5 different Seattle Seahawks players that we'll be talking about here on today's show. We're talking cut candidates. Who could Seattle potentially move on from to save some Benjamins for this upcoming year? I got a list we'll go over in just a matter of moments. Before we do that, though, the Seahawks need all the good vibes they can get. With all the changes going on and looking forward to this offseason when tough decisions are going to have to be made when it comes to trades, for agency, the draft, and everything in between, we need all the vibes to be going our direction. Like the video for a great offseason. Don't jinx it. Don't make me come find you because you didn't like the video. Let's just set the right tone right away. Like the video and we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with the numbers. Let's start with the cap situation. The Seahawks right now are $4.6 million over the cap entering the 2024 campaign. That ain't going to fly with Goodell and company, so they are going to have to make some changes with that. And to give you a little perspective of what you're about to hear on today's show, if the Seahawks were to move on from every single player we talk about today, they could save upwards of $57 million. Okay? That's a lot of cash. And you're going to have to clear up some money anyway just to sign your rookies coming in. Besides free agents or anything like that, there are some hard decisions that are going to have to be made one way or another. But with that said, let's get started. The first player on our list should be a shocker to no one, and that is Jamal Adams, the safety for the Seattle Seahawks. We have been saying for a long time that the Seahawks probably ought to just cut their losses and move on from Jamal Adams. Yes, it will be painful for the amount of money that he's cost you and what you gave up to make this trade happen. But the truth of the matter is that when you look at Jamal Adams on a football field right now, he is a liability. He holds this team back. They are better without him. If they were to cut Jamal Adams post-June 1, and remember, you can designate somebody as a post-June 1 cut, but move on from them prior to that, they could save $16.5 million on that contract that he's got 2 years remaining and about $27 million cap hit next year. He's 29 years old. He's not getting any younger. My verdict, we're cutting Jamal Adams. If it's up to me, my call, it's an easy decision. I think you move on from Jamal Adams. You count your losses. You say, look, Jamal, we appreciate you. It's been great to have you in this organization. But the better days are behind us. This isn't simply working anymore. You got to move on from Jamal Adams. To me, that's the easy decision here, that you cut him and say enough is enough for Jamal Adams and go on from there. 4 more players to get to here in just a moment, but first let's ask you guys, should the Seahawks cut Jamal Adams? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in, tell me what you think. Should Seattle move on from Jamal Adams or not? Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time, the best place to go for last-minute tickets for the lowest prices guaranteed, whether you want to go to a sporting event, concert, theater, production, comedy show, or more. Maybe you want to go to the big game in Vegas. I know the Seahawks aren't going to be there, but you still got an opportunity to go and save some money. We are giving $100 off to anyone that wants to go to the big game in Vegas when you use the promo code Vegas100. And that doesn't just apply for first-time users either, okay? Everybody can save $100 on tickets to the big game when they use the promo code Vegas100. So if you're planning to make the trip, here's your chance to save some money on that ticket to the big game. Promo code Vegas100. You can also still get tickets to your favorite local events like the Seattle Kraken and more. Choose the seat you want to sit in. Then you get the view. If you like the seat or not, you're checking out within a matter of moments. And it's very simple to use with Apple Pay, Google Pay, and more. And for first-time users, you can save $20 off with the promo code SeahawksChat. And if you decide that you want to go to the big game and you're a first-time user, you can use the promo code SeahawksChat and the promo code Vegas100 and save $120 on tickets to the big game. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Terms and conditions to apply. Sign up for Game Time today. Next on this list, this is going to ruffle some feathers, but it's a discussion we had to have. Tyler Lockett, Seahawks wide receiver. Tyler Lockett has been awesome for this team over the years. He'll one day have his name in the Ring of Honor and everything like that. Tyler Lockett has been nothing but great for Seattle. But he's coming off the worst season he's had in a while. He's 32 years old. He's already talked about early retirement. And you look at his money situation, you can't sit here and honestly say that Tyler Lockett is worth paying $27 million over a 2-year stretch. If you were to move on from him post-June 1, you could save $17 million. Now, my verdict on Tyler Lockett, I don't think you should move on from him, though. What you need to do is you need to say to Tyler Lockett, look, Tyler, we want you to stay in Seattle. We want you to retire as a member of the Seahawks and keep this offense going with one of the best receiving corps in football. But we can't afford to pay you that amount of money. And realistically, no one else can afford to pay him that amount of money either. Restructure, have Tyler Lockett take a pay cut, and keep him around. I think that is the best solution for all parties involved. Keep Tyler Lockett, but force him to restructure. And make your money work for you, as Dave Ramsey would say. That's the best case for Seattle and Tyler Lockett here. Next on our list is Quandre Diggs. Quandre Diggs coming off a disappointing season in 2023. And he'd been playing some very good football prior to that. But this was his worst year statistically ever. His PFF numbers were abysmal in about every category this year. 31 years old, got 1 year remaining, and it ain't cheap. His cap hit is around $21.2 million this upcoming year. And the savings, if he's released or traded, $11 million. A lot of money to be saved. My verdict, I'm shopping Quandre Diggs. I'm trying to see if I can get anything for Quandre Diggs. If I can get a draft pick, something, whatever I can do to get somebody to take Quandre Diggs off my payroll, to me, that would be a big blessing of sorts for the Seattle Seahawks. Kind of like what we talked about with Tyler Lockett. It's not personal. It's business. We like Quandre. Quandre's had a good run in Seattle. He's been arguably the face of this defense the last couple of years, especially after Bobby departed, and then obviously he came back. But Quandre means a lot, but you can't pay that money for the product that you're getting on the football field of what you saw this year. If you had to pick one to keep, are you going with Tyler Lockett or are you going with Quandre Diggs? Which guy would you rather hang on to? Type T for Tyler Lockett, type Q for Quandre Diggs. Let me know which guy you rather have. Folks, we are on track to get to 49,000 subscribers here on Seahawks Today, but we need your help to get there. Less than 400 away from reaching that next milestone. We're talking about your team each and every day with the latest news and rumors. We're talking trades, draft, free agency, and more. Lock us in. Subscribe now. Any moves happen, any changes, you know we're going to go live. We're going to bring you content as quickly as we can on the channel. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did here on Seahawks Today. Next on our list is Will Dissly at the tight end position. Now, it is worth noting that Will Dissly and Noah Fant and Colby Parkinson all have been underutilized in this Seahawks offense. And that goes back to Pete Carroll. That goes back to Shane Waldron of not using tight ends appropriately. Will Dissly's numbers weren't great last year, but I think that he's better than what they indicated because he was being held back by the system. With that said, though, Will Dissly, enters 2024 at 28 years old with 1 year remaining on his contract, a cap hit of around $10.1 million, and you can save $7 million if you were to move on from Will Dissly. Honestly, I don't think that Will Dissly is worth keeping for that amount of money. I think you can find his production for a lot cheaper cost elsewhere, whether it's a rookie or even another veteran. I'm cutting. I'm saving the money. Just by cutting Will Dissly, we get this team back under the salary cap where we need to be. I like Will. I think people like Will Dissly for the most part, but this is a cost-saving measure that, to me, might be the easiest call of all these here on today's show. Who's the player the Seahawks should cut? Weigh in the comments section. Give me a name that comes to mind. We've talked about a few already. What do you guys think? Weigh in and tell me what you think. Last on our list is Brian Monet. And if you're not familiar with Brian Monet, it's okay. He missed all of this past season with a torn ACL that he injured the year prior. 29 entering this year and has 1 year remaining on his contract with a cap hit around $6 million. The savings, if he's released or traded, around the same amount, $5.9 million. It already feels like the Seahawks have moved on from Brian Monet as is. When you look at the structure with Leonard Williams and Draymond Jones and these pieces on the defensive line, Jaron Reed and all that, they have operated without Brian Monet, without even giving him a thought. If you forgot that Brian Monet played for the Seattle Seahawks, you would not be the only one. To me, I think you cut him. If he can't be on the football field, then what's the point? So, sorry, Brian. This one's an easy call. We're cutting you. If you enjoyed today's show, want to give some good luck to your Seahawks this offseason, like the video. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right. So, we went through a number of names, 5 names there. I know some people have some emotional connections to guys like Lockett and Diggs and all that, but Smitty, as you rejoin me right now, I have always subscribed to the Belichick theory, where I rather get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you need to keep those guys around for the sake of keeping all that money. And watch, if you're talking about Belichick theory, Belichick is a guy who lets these people go, and then they come crawling back about a year later when it doesn't work out in the next location.
Right.
So for much cheaper money usually, too. Think about Jamie Collins, Patrick Chung.
Really the John Schneider way.
Yeah, I guess John Schneider's done it a lot, too, and Baltimore does it a ton as well.
Eric DeCosta,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they've done that. Who's the player that Seahawks should cut? Monet, Adams, says Manuel. Ricky says DJ Dallas and D. Eskridge.
DJ Dallas needs to get off my football team. Not gonna lie. He's not the worst football player in the world. I'm just done with him. I can't see him on the field anymore.
Chippy says trade Julian Love for smoking in the locker room.
No, we're not trading Julian Love.
That was a bad look.
Not the best look, but
not
Julian
the
Love
best
is
look,
keeper.
but
Josh Cummings knows. Josh Cummings might be a Giants fan.
Julian Love is the keeper.
I don't know.
Josh Cummings, reveal yourself. Who is your actual team? I want to know. Minecraft says trade Eskridge. Nobody's trading for Eskridge. I can tell you that right now. Spencer says no, don't trade for Justin Fields. He doesn't win. Ricky says Julian Love, keep him. Drew says why is Eskridge on the team? Great question. Chippy says yes, don't trade for Fields. Kevin says DJ Dallas. Let's see. Okay. So a lot of different answers there when it comes to cuts on that front. 2 more segments to go.
Yeah.
We'll talk big-time free agents next. And then after that, we will do a Q&A mailbag. And you still have plenty of opportunity to get on the mailbag using hashtag Seahawks or Super Chatting for our final segment on today's show. So stick around for that coming up in just a bit. Right now, though, let's talk big-time free agents. I got 4 big names that could end up in Seattle when free agency begins. We'll examine those in just a moment right here on Seahawks Today. Smitty, we all set? All right, let's get after it. Here we go. You're watching Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we are looking at not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 big-time free agents that your Seattle Seahawks could end up signing come free agency. Who could they be in the market for? We'll examine that in just a bit. Before we do, I've been told by the bosses that if we don't get to 49,000 subscribers by the end of the week, then they're going to make us do Niners content on the channel. They said, if you don't get to 49, we're going to have to do 49ers content on the channel. 49 for 49. We cannot let that happen. Not on my watch. Less than 400 away from that next milestone. Don't let the bosses do that. Let's get to 49,000 subscribers right here, right now. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Now, before we show you these names, let's kind of set the scene for you of what the Seahawks are looking at. Seattle is $4.6 million over the cap. So if free agency were to begin today, Seattle could sign nobody. So they're going to have to clear some cap. But as we talked about on the channel this week, there are plenty of names that the Seahawks will be looking to move on from and open up some cash to be able to spend in the coming weeks. With that said, let's start with Sack Nation himself, Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs playing for a spot in the Super Bowl this weekend in the AFC Championship game. I got to tell you, I've always been a fan of Chris Jones. Dynamic player, won't be cheap, commands a high salary, but he has not shown anything for us to believe that he's slowing down. And if you need an example of the impact that he brings, look at what happened to the Kansas City Chiefs week 1 when he held out, did not play against the Detroit Lions, and they had no pass rush of any kind. And that defense looked so lost without Chris Jones. I do wonder how badly the Chiefs want to hang on to Chris Jones because, I mean, it was a night and day difference with and without him on that football field. Chris Jones is an animal. We talked for the Seahawks team looking for help on the defensive line. They've put some patches up over the last several months. The Leonard Williams trade was a big deal. But if you're going for a home run, if you're going for a sure thing and are serious about getting this right, Chris Jones is exactly what you could be looking for as far as that goes. Should the Seahawks sign Chris Jones? What do you think? Our pinned comment today, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's not that old yet. What do you think? Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what you think if the Seahawks should sign Chris Jones or not. Next on our list, Justin Madubuike of the Baltimore Ravens. Just like Chris Jones, he will be playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl this weekend in the AFC Championship game between the Ravens and the Chiefs. And I don't know how many people have paid attention, but Madubuike has had a sneaky good season. And I don't know if it's Baltimore that's going to be able to pay him because Baltimore's got 20 free agents and still has to pay guys like Patrick Queen. But somebody is going to pay Justin Madubuike a lot of money and could be a natural fit in Seattle. Look, we don't know what the defensive scheme is going to be just yet, right, with the next head coach. But with that said, of realigning some things, Justin Madubuike provides some flexibility of being able to do different things, whether it's in the interior or stretching him out a little bit. You can mix Justin Madubuike around. He's coming off a career year, 13 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 12 tackles for loss. He was awesome this year, and you can see by his statistics shown, he's only gotten better year after year after year. Madubuike, I think, would be awesome to have with this Seattle Seahawks defense as far as I'm concerned. More to come here on Seahawks Today, but first, let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is Factor. Factor Meals. I'm a bachelor. I don't like to cook a whole lot, especially for a single guy like myself. But luckily with Factor, I can get some pre-made meals that are very tasty and don't cost a whole lot. And on top of that, are very easy to make. Check this out. Get started with your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery. Takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip to grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Forget frantic lunch preps and rush dinners. Factor's 2-minute meals are your secret weapon in the new year. Fuel fast, restaurant-quality meals will deliver right to your door. When things get hectic, Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause or reschedule your deliveries at any time. Head to factormeals.com/SeahawksChat50 and use code SeahawksChat50 to get 50% off. That's code SeahawksChat50 at factormeals.com/SeahawksChat50 to get 50% off. Factor Meals, proud partner of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Factor Meals, good. All right. Let's talk secondary now. Jalen Johnson of the Chicago Bears. He was a name that was widely talked about back during the trade deadline. Ultimately, the Bears decided to hang on to Johnson. And when you look at Seattle's secondary, okay, there could be another piece or two to this cornerback room that would just really change things up. Because think about this, okay? You got Rick Wallen, who everybody's excited about. I know he had a down year this past year, but still is going to be a starting corner for a long time. And then you got Devin Witherspoon, who was just amazing, might win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Awesome, right? But what we found with Devin Witherspoon, he was at his best when he was playing the nickel spot, right? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you look at Kyle Hamilton, ended up being an all-pro player this year and mostly played nickel for Baltimore. So, with that said, what about Jalen Johnson as a very good fit? And then you're talking about having the best corner room in all of football potentially. Jalen Johnson, an overall grade by PFF near 91. Coverage grade, 91. Run defense grade, 67. Held his opposing quarterbacks to a 33.3 QB rating and not one, not two, not three, but 4 interceptions this past season along with 10 pass breakups. Jalen Johnson's that dude. To me, I would be very excited to have Jalen Johnson in that mix. And everybody wants to bring back the Legion days, right? We all remember how lethal that secondary was. This would be a huge step in that direction. Now, this is going to be a great year when it comes to free agents in the National Football League. We know the Seahawks are going to be spending to get at least a couple. Who comes to mind? Who do you want the Seahawks to sign? Name a player in the comments section that you'd like to see join the Seattle Seahawks this offseason. Last on our list is Josh Allen. Not that Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I got to tell you, you look at Josh Allen, he's better than advertised. Did you know that his sack projection, according to the nerds at PFF, was around 12.7 sacks this season, which was a very good number, I might say. If he would have had 12.7 sacks, I don't think anybody would be complaining. They'd say that's a very good year. You know what he ended up doing instead? Had 17.5 sacks. He overachieved. He overperformed when he already had high expectations as is. He had a sack every game this past season. Outstanding what we saw on the field from Josh Allen. He's a hell of an athlete, a difference maker on the football field, and the versatility. The things that he can bring to the table here, that would be a difference maker. And you can never have too many pass rushers. Josh Allen would thrive with this Seahawks defense as far as I'm concerned. So, if you had to pick one, and only one to sign of these 4 big names we talked about in today's show, you going with Chris Jones, you going with Justin Madubuike, going with Jalen Johnson, or Josh Allen? Let me know. Type CJ for Chris Jones, JM for Justin Madubuike, JJ for Jalen Johnson, or JA for Josh Allen. Chime in that comment section. Let me know which one you would roll with. Keep us locked in here on Seahawks Today. The latest happenings on your favorite team. We got you covered each and every day. Subscribe now for free, and we'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. Thanks for joining us. All right. One more segment to go. That is our mailbag. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. And in the meantime, name a player the Seahawks should sign in free agency. Smitty, as we mentioned, Seahawks.
And use hashtag Seahawks while you do it.
Yes, please do, as you name a player the Seahawks should sign. We mentioned it, that the Seahawks are I know they don't have cap space right now, but there will be changes. There will be money freed up.
At least 2 to 3 of the 5 guys that you listed will be completely cut from the video that we.
And there's more than that too.
Yep.
We only had time to go through 5 of them. With that said, knowing that there will be money there, despite what's there right now, who comes to mind that you'd like to see in a Seahawks uniform?
I can't pick somebody on that list.
You can pick somebody.
Oh, I think I might pick Justin Matabuke, man. He's coming along magnificently as a pro. He's a game wrecker, and it's just another body on that defensive line that I think needs a little bit more.
He's
strength.
young too.
Super young, and I think it's somebody we can develop if we get a defensive head coach. I love it. I don't think Chris Jones, somebody who's going to command a lot of money at an old age, is something that this team should be going in the direction.
He's going to cost a lot more than Matabuke is.
Absolutely. I think Justin Matabuke would be an elite signing for Seattle.
Who is a player the Seahawks should sign? Use hashtag Seahawks and let us know who you think.
I mean, on that Baltimore defense, it's stacked. You got Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, Patrick Queen, Marlon Humphrey, the whole 9. Jadeveon Clowney's having a hell of a year. But more often than not, when I watched a lot of Baltimore this year, Justin Matabuke's name is being called by the play-by-play announcer more often than some other guys.
He led Baltimore in sacks.
Yeah. Which
you never hear about hardly ever from defensive linemen.
Yep. He has been fantastic for them.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
When you're watching the AFC Championship this weekend, watch out for Matabuke. Because as you look at this AFC Championship, by the way, the Chiefs likely without Joe Tooney. Mm-hmm. They're starting one of their starting guards. Matabuke, he's got a huge opportunity ahead of him. Go after Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs already short in the offensive line. I'm very intrigued. Name a player the Seahawks should sign. Chat, what are we talking about here? Did I miss something? They're talking coaches stuff in the chat. Is somebody trying to throw out some fake news? We have not had a coach hired yet. Stop that. No. Spencer, don't make me suspend you for that fake news. There's not been a hiring yet. There has not been a hiring yet. Do not make me put you in timeout. But the Vrabel update that came out today was that he met with the Falcons. Josh? All right, Josh. Sorry, I had to do this. Didn't want to have to do this, but you leave me no choice.
What do you do? What's Josh's fate?
Oh, he's going in timeout.
Oh.
5-minute timeout.
Timeout.
No, that's one of the biggest rules of the chat. You can't give us fake news. You can't be spitting fake news out there, guys. Hate to do it. You leave me no choice. Sorry, Josh. Sorry, Spencer. No fake news in the chat. No fake news. Name a player the Seahawks should sign in free agency. And we get that mailbag coming up. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get in the mailbag segment we're about to do coming up in just a few moments here on this edition of Seahawks Today. Martin, I was glad to help. I hate to do it, but sometimes it's just a necessary evil. Leave me no choice. Charles, I see your comment, but I need hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to put you on the mailbag, my guy. We literally cannot put you on screen unless you use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Simple as that. We are going to do this mailbag in a bit. I see Virgil's got a question. Let's see. Who else got some questions in? Dustin's got a question. Good to see you, Dustin. Certainly need some others. Let's see. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Let's see if we get any more questions coming in. There we go. Dustin with another question. Good to see you. Charles, I like that comment you had, but I need you to put hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get in the show. All right. We'll get started. If you think of more questions as we roll along here, then send them our way. Super Chats will get priority in the mailbag, and we'll react to that all and more coming up in just a bit. Trell, the photographer, good work. I see hashtag Seahawks we'll go ahead and get started. Final segment here on this Wednesday afternoon. Let's get rolling here on Seahawks Today. Yep. Seahawks Today coming up in just a moment, but first, I want to make sure that not only are you subscribed to Seahawks Today, but you're part of the Noti gang. Those are the folks that have their notifications turned on, and they are locked in. They are the first to know when we put up new content on our Seahawks Today YouTube channel. Anytime the Seahawks make a move, you're going to be the first to know about it. Anytime the Seahawks make a trade, a signing, whatever it may be, we're going to break it down on the channel for you. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you stay up to date with what's happening in your favorite team. We got you covered. Chief with a $2 super chat says, how will our new coach affect our draft plan? So it's very interesting that you bring this up, Chief, because you think about it. John Schneider now takes on Pete's old role of overseeing the entire operation, right? And so the head coach is going to be somebody that shares John Schneider's vision and how they want to go about things with this Seahawks team. Now, that head coach might have an opinion and might have a way that they want things done, some recommendations they could throw out there. But at the end of the day, no matter what doesn't change is that John Schneider has final say. And this is his team, and it's going to be built as he sees fit. And I would think if it's a defensive head coach, then you're going to see more of a defensive-heavy draft. If it's an offensive head coach, you'll probably see more of an offensive-heavy draft. But based on coaching interviews and the way this cycle has gone, it sounds like Schneider's leaning towards going a defensive-minded coach. Teddy, who writes in with a $5 super chat, rather have Vrabel and Arthur Smith as our coaches over Dan Quinn and Chip Kelly. I like Vrabel a lot, but it doesn't sound like he's interested in us. As unfortunate as that may be to a lot of people, and I know that we were excited about the idea of talking to Mike Vrabel and seeing if he was potentially interested in being the next Seahawks head coach. He's taking these interviews with these other teams. Doesn't seem like he's got too much interest. So with that said, Dan Quinn, got a history with this organization. Chip Kelly, he had success in the Pacific Northwest with the Oregon Ducks as their head coach. I think I would be shocked if he took that job as OC, but I could certainly see what you mean, Teddy G. You're not wrong in that idea, but it's an interesting possibility. Legend of Boom forever. Any chance the Seahawks sign Kirk Cousins? Oh, God. Let's talk about Cousins. So, Cousins is an interesting pickle, right? The Minnesota Vikings are coming off a season where he got hurt, Achilles injury. It's not an easy thing to come back from unless you're Aaron Rodgers. And he's getting older, and he's not very cheap. He's an expensive, older quarterback. Remains to be seen if the Vikings are going to put that money up or not to keep Kirk Cousins there. So then you go to free agency. And if I'm the Seahawks, I'm not sitting here and trying to dish out the money to pay a guy like Kirk Cousins. Personally, I rather see the Seahawks go for a younger quarterback, a cheaper quarterback that doesn't cost you as much than what Cousins is going to demand. I don't see it happening. I think it's opposite of the direction Seattle's trying to go of building a young foundation. I just don't see it being the case. What do you guys think? Should the Seahawks sign Kirk Cousins? I'm against it. I say hell no. I'm typing HN in the chat. It's our pinned comment today. Weigh in, tell me what you think. HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Let me know. Buzz in the chat says, who should be the Seahawks' top draft target? If it were up to me, I'd be looking at quarterback. I'd be going for a young quarterback. Somebody of the likes of Michael Penix, I think certainly intrigues me. I like, to me, that's what stands out. I like the idea of that, of going with a quarterback. I know that there's other potential quarterback options out there, the likes of Bo Nix and J.J. McCarthy, and the list goes on and on. That is the most intriguing for me, is going with a quarterback. But beyond that, I think you're looking at defensive talent at that point. And there's plenty of defensive options out there. I like Jared Verse from Florida State a whole lot too. Don't know where he's going to fall. He's been kind of all over the place when it comes to draft boards and all that, but we'll see what he does. But, Boz, that's what intrigues me. What about you? Who's the player the Seahawks should draft this April? Wait in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Who's the player that comes to mind that you would like to see in a Seahawks uniform in 2024? Today's show is offering a great deal on Seahawks hats. If you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hats, then you can get one of these, and there's plenty of options. It's got the sideline hats that we're offering, among with many others, and free shipping for a limited time. So what are you waiting for? Get yours today. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Get one of these awesome Seahawks hats on sale now. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. Get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. The man himself with a $2 super chat writes in, get Fields if no rookie quarterback and build around him. It's all about the price tag for me when it comes to Justin Fields. I'm not giving up a first. I'm not even giving up a second-round pick for Justin Fields. Seahawks don't have a second-round pick this year. They do next year. You could potentially give up. I'm in the bargain business, okay? I'm sure a lot of you in the Pacific Northwest, you've spent some time shopping at the grocery outlet, right? And you want to find those bargain buys. Justin Fields, he's going to be due a lot of money here soon. You know, he's looking for his second contract. He's shown flashes, but never had that consistency, and he's had the injury issues. If I can get a bargain buy, getting him out of Chicago, get a fresh start, see what he can do with this offense. Third, fourth round pick, absolutely sign me up. But I'm not breaking the bank for Fields, if that makes sense. But you got a good idea. Thano, good to see you, Thano. If we traded Geno Smith, what do you think his value would be? Very good question, because Geno does take up a significant amount of money. He's not hella expensive, but he's not cheap either. I think he's fairly paid of what the Seahawks ended up giving him last season. But there's the other side of things. Let's just say, for all intents and purposes, if the Seahawks are shopping Geno Smith, if they are, then that's going to get around league circles. And then league circles start to think, wait, hold on a second. Why would we trade for Geno when they could just end up releasing him and then we don't have to pay him all that money? So I don't know how much, to be honest. I don't think his trade value would be a ton. Maybe you could use him to offset a trade to get the quarterback you want if some sorts do it that way. Virgil writes in, who would be an ideal OC candidate assuming we hire a defensive coach? I want names and social security numbers. Okay. Let's rattle off some names here. I like Zach Robinson a whole lot. He's within the LA Rams organization. Guy I've known for a long time. Great quarterback at Oklahoma State. Played in Seattle for a hot minute. Does really well when it comes to analytics. His background used to work with PFF and has been all over the film study there. If you're looking for experience, I've always been a fan of Kellen Moore. I thought Kellen Moore did a good job in Dallas, kind of got shafted there on that end. Kellen Moore comes to mind. I've always liked Eric Bieniemy as well. And you look at that Washington organization, they're bringing a new head coaching staff. I don't know if they're going to bring Bieniemy back. Those are kind of the three names off the top of my head I would think of that would be potential good fits that I would not complain about any of those three. Ziggy, all right, Tim. Do you know Chop Robinson? Do you think he would be good as a Seahawk? I like Chop Robinson a lot. Chop Robinson, best name in this year's draft, and has been super awesome to see his talent and his capabilities, and he's not just a name. He is super athletic and really just gets after the quarterback. I like Chop Robinson. I don't know if he'll still be available when the Seahawks pick, but he would be a name to watch potentially. Tyson writes in, do you think Bobby will coach after retirement? Who knows? Honestly, I don't know what Bobby's thinking. Maybe there's a lot of opportunities, I'm sure. I don't think he would ever be like a broadcaster. He's not one to talk a ton, but the coaching route, I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't know for certain on that when it comes to Bobby there, Tyson. Spencer with a $2 super chat. Good to see you, Spencer. Thanks for the super chat. What about Jordan Travis from FSU in the third round? I don't like spending a third-round pick for a quarterback with a broken leg that's 26 years old. Jordan Travis available later. Maybe we could have that conversation. But that seems a bit pricey for a quarterback coming off a broken leg. And he's that old. I think it's a little early on Jordan Travis. We'll see what happens with him. Appreciate you joining us here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your favorite team. We got you covered, and we'll see you next time here on the channel. All right. So, who is a player that the Seahawks should draft? And we're talking about any round. Doesn't have to be first round, but just throughout the entire draft. Who is somebody that you'd like to see in a Seahawks uniform? Weigh in. Tell us what you think. Smitty, who are some guys that you like in this upcoming draft?
I've been a Jared Verse guy for a long time. I am a fan of. I'm trying to think of listen. One thing I'm bad at is deep dive in college football names. Definitely more of a college basketball guy in that regard as far as niches go. But so third round, second round, third guys and on, I'm not the best with. So the guys have been mocked in the first round. There's some. It's not a lot of talent in the first round that is super needed for Seattle's roster. A lot of receivers, a lot of quarterbacks that are going to go too early per se.
I'm going to be surprised if the Seahawks trade down, try to get multiple picks.
Yeah, because the best offensive linemen are too high at the top, and then it's kind of a crapshoot until the second round. There's just not a ton of blue chip talent that I think you can get at 15 or 16, where the Seahawks are drafting, that you can also get at 35.
Yeah, good point.
Who knows?
Smith, I got to ask, with you being the college basketball guy, I'm sure as Seahawk fans make the unfortunate transition from football season to trying to find something else of interest,
of course.
Obviously the Kraken are going on, but
yeah.
I got to ask you, what the hell's going on with Gonzaga?
Those boys up in Washington, not great.
No.
Not great at all. WCC is getting better as well. It's becoming a much respectable conference, multi-bid in the NCAA tournament.
Next year adding Oregon State and Washington State?
Absolutely. It is going to be a great ball for years to come in the WCC. It's getting better year in and year out. And Gonzaga is just falling victim to that kind of law of averages there in the WCC. And plus, it's just a down year for them recruiting-wise. They tried to go the transfer portal route for a couple of guys who they ended up missing on. Ryan Nembhard didn't end up being as good of a pickup as they anticipated, and Graham Ike.
Is Mark Few cooked?
Mark Few might be cooked. He's got a couple of run-ins with the law that have not been in his favor over the past couple of years. But yeah, Gonzaga just hasn't put it all together. Washington having a mid-ish season as well. Xavier Wheeler, the former Kentucky point guard, manning things up there. But yeah, Washington hoops. It's a great. Seattle hoops scene is unbelievable, man. They deserve the Sonics back.
The Huskies have a good basketball history. I'm surprised they're not better than what they are. That's a good basketball job.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Let's go back to Super Chat menu. We will close up shop here in just a bit. But before we do, this is your last chance to get on today's show. We will put. I'm feeling a little generous. We'll put 2 minutes on the clock. And if we get a Super Chat of any amount, we'll stay alive. We'll hang out for a bit. Answer whatever questions you guys got. Doesn't even have to be Seahawks related. We can talk about whatever. We can talk college hoops. I don't care. 2 minutes. And Super Chat of any amount, we'll stay live. Otherwise, we sign off. We're at $25 in Super Chats right now. So we got to get to about... What did I say? 200 to get to a boot? Yeah. So we got 175. A ways to go, but I've seen some incredible stuff happen here before. But there's the shot clock. If you want to participate, get on today's show. Here's your last chance to do so as we wind down here. What college hoops you watching tonight?
Let me check the board real quick.
I'm watching Iowa State, Kansas State.
Iowa State, Kansas State. Where's the game? Ames or
it's in Ames.
Lawrence? Okay, Ames. Hilton Magic up there for the Cyclones.
Iowa State, Kansas State, both teams at 14-4.
Let me see who we got. Oh, Eastern Tennessee State and Virginia Military Institute already off to a hot start.
Oh, riveting.
Love that.
Riveting.
I'll be watching Radford at UNC Asheville tonight. Drew Pember, the absolute.
Is that like an ESPN Plus game?
Absolutely. I'm an ESPN Plus demon. I love that streaming service. It's my favorite of all of them. And I don't love ESPN, the channel, but ESPN Plus is the best.
Do you intentionally try to find like a mid-major game to watch each night?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. No,
Like, forget the big conferences. You're trying to find the mid-major game to watch.
Oh, wait until UNC Asheville and Radford. They're both 12-8, and they're in this Atlantic Sun, and they're gonna. That's a conference that's gonna be a decent to darling Cinderella in the NCAA tournament time. UNC Asheville has this elite guy named Drew Pember. He's like a 6'9" point guard. He's really good. So I watch a lot of mid-major hoops. Not the same in college football, but I am a hoops guy.
Okay, Spencer resets the clock. He sends in a $2 super chat.
Spencer.
Spencer keeps the show going. All right, Spencer, what do you got for us? Spencer says, what quarterback is worth a first round that will be at 16? So Mel Kiper, we told you in the video that was out this morning, if you haven't watched it yet, watch it once we're done with this, is projecting the Seahawks take J.J. McCarthy at 16, which I don't like at all personally. But
No.
I do like Penix. I would be very fine and okay with taking Penix at that 16 spot.
I'd be okay with taking Penix at 16. It'd be fun. I'd be excited.
Spencer, follow up with that. What quarterback are you wanting, Spencer? I want to hear your opinion, my guy. Want to hear your opinion on who you're going with. All right, Taker with another super chat.
All right.
We didn't even get the chance to start the clock. Taker getting this in. Interesting question from Taker here. Taker 610 says, isn't Tua's brother in this year's draft? Haven't heard much about him. Where does he fall? Who would you guys package both thirds for a second? If so, why? All right. So Tua's brother, quarterback from Maryland, Big Ten all-time passing leader, might I add.
Yep.
He tried to transfer. I guess he didn't have the credits or something to try to transfer, so he decided, just screw it. We're going to the draft. And honestly, I don't think he's that great. I would not bother drafting the other Tagovailoa brother. I'm not so intrigued. He is. You ever seen the movie Twins?
No.
Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I have not.
He is Danny DeVito.
Interesting.
Tua is Arnold Schwarzenegger in this analogy.
Okay.
You get the idea, though.
Okay.
You get the analogy. No, I would not be drafting Tua's brother. Who would you guys package both thirds for a second? If so, why? I'm not trying to move up to the second round without knowing the board anyway. But Taker 610, thanks for that question on that front. We'll reset shot clock again. That brings us to $33 down. 2 minutes on the clock. We will sign off if we don't get a super chat. Otherwise, we'll keep this thing going.
The real college basketball games that I'll be watching tonight, probably Villanova at St. John's.
Okay.
And Arkansas at Ole Miss.
Yeah. I'm intrigued this weekend for that Arkansas-Kentucky game.
Mississippi State at Florida, sneaky good matchup tonight as well.
Okay.
SEC ball, man, it's good.
Ty Man the Buckeye, good to see you here today.
Auburn at Alabama tonight as well.
Okay.
That's good stuff.
Good rivalry game. Iron Bowl.
Number 8 Auburn going to Alabama, who's unranked and a 3.5-point favorite at home.
I love Bruce Pearl.
I am a Pearl guy too. The St. Bonaventure Bonnies, my alma mater, they lost to the Auburn Tigers this year by a whopping 20.
Ty Man the Buckeye, we had a question in the office today. What is your real name and what is your occupation? I am very curious, Ty Man the Buckeye.
If you feel okay answering that, just go with first name. Don't give us your whole government.
Yes, but we are very curious in the office. We want to know, Ty Man. What is your name and what is your occupation?
Yo, Ty Man's. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize you said Smitty in the chat. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I think Ty-Man was rooting against the Seahawks most of the year, but he's still a loyal Chat Sports guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. We love Time Man here.
Hmm.
Shot clock winding down.
What's for dinner tonight?
I don't know. I'm actually being booted out by my girlfriend. So.
You're being booted out?
Yeah, she's kicking me out. She's having a girls' night.
Okay. I got some leftover Panda Express.
That's nice. We'll take it.
Lucas is. Don't listen to Lucas, Ty-Man. We don't need your social security number.
Definitely don't need that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, we'll sign off. Folks, appreciate you being here with us. Stay locked into the channel. Smitty and I are staying tabbed to our phones. Whenever there is a Seahawks head coach hired, we are dropping whatever we're doing. We're getting in the studio. We're doing a live show, reacting to it and everything. So stay tuned for that. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.